Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Overlay, a poker podcast brought to you by CCG Poker Radio and where's the other spot, Brandon?
CCG Poker Radio and TV and beautiful Paramount.
Beautiful Paramount Social Club in Houston, Texas. I am currently in Houston, Texas, and Brandon, you are...
I'm in Meadowa, which is a CCG location here on a Thursday.
Yeah.
So we are... we're both at our respective events.
Correct. And the funny thing is typically when you and I do the podcast, I'm in my office in Naperville, which obviously is in Illinois, and you're typically at home in Indiana. So we always do across state lines podcasting. Ooh, yep. This would be like a federal case if there was some kind of like weird podcasting laws that we were breaking. I can't imagine.
Which, if there is podcasting laws, we're probably breaking them.
Yeah, and I would say
if there is any.
I could literally go with the I didn't know any better because it seems like a make believe thing, anyways.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll hold up in court. So yeah, it's funny. Normally I'm in Illinois, you're in Indiana. Today you're in Illinois, and I am in Texas.
How's Texas? How's the weather?
It's like crazy warm. Funny thing happened.
Yeah.
I love to eat at the Denny's across the street from my hotel.
I do.
It's across it's not even across the street. It's across the parking lot. I just walk across the parking lot.
It's across the side street.
No. I don't even have to look any direction. It's just parking lot the whole way.
Yeah.
I probably should look to see if any cars are coming in the parking lot, but I never do. So I've been safe so far. But So it's funny. This is March 2021, and a couple of weeks ago, 10 days ago, something along those lines, is when Texas had the crazy cold front come through.
Yep.
And they had some snow, and obviously it's Texas, so there's zero. They have no idea.
Infrastructure.
Yeah, nothing to deal with bad weather in the sense of cold. It's everything got shut down. Electricity was out. People's pipes were bursting because they were getting below freezing for a couple of days in a row, and it was a madhouse. So anyways, I'm preferencing this story because it is eventually going to go somewhere. So I'm eating at Denny's by myself, which is my favorite thing to do. So I'm reading my book, enjoying my omelet with ham, bacon, sausage, 2 eggs over easy on top with 4 pieces of bacon. And they always say, Mr. Cohen, would you like 2 pieces of bacon and 4? I'm ha ha ha, who would only order 2? Of course I want 4. Because I'm that jackass in there. And so then a family sits down next to me or in the booth, right next to me. And, the waitress, standard opening line of the waitress. Hey, how you guys doing? What can I get you to drink? Milk, orange juice, Coke, and the last kid orders a freaking hot chocolate. I look at my watch, and it's 71 degrees outside. And I was like, what in God's green earth is that kid ordering? And he was 14. It wasn't he was 5, where I can understand one of my kids ordering a random ass drink at a Denny's, but no. Kid was 14. He's in high school. I'll have a hot cocoa, please. It's 70 degrees. I literally wanted to jump up and be it's 70 degrees outside. What are you doing ordering hot chocolate? So apparently right, Texas is embracing this whole cold weather front that is now gone, which also, did you see any of the TikToks about how it was a complete conspiracy?
No, I didn't.
Oh my God, they're great. How the government we've turned into a conspiracy podcast. Episode 42, everybody. The overlay and poker conspiracies and how they affect the weather in Texas. It was it's all how the government, manufactured all of this weather to make them feel the pain and need federal help from the government because they couldn't do it on their own because Texas wanted to secede.
Honestly, that's a pretty good. I can get down with that.
I mean, there's always a grain of truth in everything. It's wild.
It has to come from somewhere, right?
I mean, it's it makes you think, which is what all conspiracy theories do.
For us, or for those listeners that don't know,
Coke Zero. This
AJ
episode brought to you by Coke Zero. What
are very much
TikTokers? Were TikTokers? TikToks?
Addicted to the talk. We're addicted
Love
to the
the talk. It's so good. I found this other. Anyways, we won't go into the TikTok rabbit hole because it is
that's
deep
going to be episode
and
43.
It's dark,
It's just
and I don't know
TikTok.
where it is. At first, I was just very excited about all the scantily clad women doing stupid dances, but then that's just like the upper. That's just the cherry on top. Like once you get into TikTok, like there's so much more in there.
Once they figure out who you actually are, because I think like once you sign on TikTok, it's all about 23-year-old girls dancing in their bathing suits.
Right.
But then once you start, showing TikTok that you got another side to you, all of a sudden, and they got me pegged perfectly. Like they put on my For You page literally exactly what's for me.
Yep.
Like,
and whatever the algorithm is or whatever.
I don't skip through anything. Yes, it's the Chinese algorithm. They got me pegged.
It's good. I like it. Anyways,
so what are we going to talk about today?
Episode 42. Today we're going to go over the great American road trip for poker players.
I love road trips.
I do too. It's one of those. My wife does not want to go on a road trip with the kids. She's like, that sounds awful. I'm like, of course it's awful. Like all road trips are bad, but it's great. Like stuff you remember. I remember as a kid how bad it was when I had to drive to Minnesota with my parents and it was a 10-hour drive and it was miserable. My brother and I fought the whole time. Allison didn't talk to anybody. You argue over who got the captain chairs in the minivan. Like it was great. I got to pee.
Yeah.
Then you stop at the rest stop and then you leave. Does anybody have to go to the bathroom? No, I'm good. 20 minutes later, Dad, I got to pee, Yep. I mean, it's fantastic.
I mean, I remember my 2 road trips as a kid going out west. I mean, we went when I was like 10 and 8. And I remember both of those.
Yeah.
Like
they're formative years, Brandon. And I think all poker players, that's how we're going to tie it all together. I feel like poker players also need to eventually, if you want to be, if you're, I don't want to say a serious player, but like part of the fun of being like a good regular or a semi-pro or a pro, whatever you want to call it, like you have to take either some kind of road trip to play in a specific tournament series, whether it be the WSOP or a WPT or an MSPT or an HPT, OMG. There's a lot of letters in poker tournaments, isn't there?
They usually end with O and P.
Yeah, that's true.
They end with T.
Yeah.
MSPT, HPT.
Poker Tour, World Series of Poker, World Poker
But you
Tour.
really got to get out of like the monotony. I don't know if I'm using the word right, but like it gets pretty boring to drive to the Horseshoe 5 days a week and do the same thing and see the same 12 people and play in the same game with the same dealers and the same floor people. And it's just like
same regs, the same 5 old guys playing 5-10. If that's, if like if you don't play in that game, you just see them arguing and whatever. Like it's so much fun as a poker player to go to a different part of the country. I've never traveled internationally ever, let alone for poker, so I can't speak to that. But domestically, I feel like we can cover a couple of the hot spots, some of the fun things to do while you're there. It's also like a super fun thing to do with like a partner or somebody else. Like you get to go with like a group of friends and go play poker, and it's great. You get kind of share in the successes, you can share in the misery of bad beats. I mean, there's just so much you get to talk about. And again, it's like 2 or 3 or 4 days of just all poker all the time, staying in a hotel room. There's something about that's fun.
Which, by the way, guys, we came up with this episode idea because he's in a hotel and I'm in a hotel.
Yep. So we're like, we'll do a hotel episode. So if the sound sounds a little weird,
a little bit, but I mean,
because like the vibrations are different, and like I just noticed the AC unit kicked on in my room, but I wasn't willing to turn it off because again, Texas is 72 degrees out right now. Like it's perfect.
Wow.
It's nice.
37 here.
Yeah, it's much better.
It's not
here.
great.
So I didn't wear a coat, and then we'll get into actual poker stuff. I didn't wear a coat. My wife's like, "Aren't you going to wear a coat?" And I was like, "No." Like the walk from the parking lot to is so short. Like I only have like this very short walk that I'm going to use my coat for, and I got to drag it all the way to Houston. Like, and I'm never going to wear it there. It's like, no.
And I hate wearing a coat on an airplane.
Oh, it's like, the worst.
I do take it off, put it on top, leave it on. I'm sweating. It's awful.
Yeah, it's miserable. And I won't even talk about the poker, flying right now in kind of the post-COVID world. We're not really post-COVID yet, but like we're towards like it's been a year of COVID. So like obviously, airplanes and flights and things, there are more people traveling than there was, obviously a year ago, but it was very weird to be on an airplane with like masks and all the things and them described to me how I have to eat peanuts. Mask goes down, peanut goes in. Mask goes up. Chew, chew, chew. Swallow. Repeat.
Yeah. It's weird.
Like, you can't even, like, I was like, but I'm going to go in. There's like no window of like 4 seconds that I can pop another peanut in before I get to go. And lo and behold, I don't eat peanuts. I'm just using this as an example. But like, it was crazy town. It was wild. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't been on a flight yet, so I can't attest. But it sounds awful.
For 1 year. Yeah. It's been a year since I've been on there. But anyways, let's go over, obviously, Las Vegas is the mecca of all gambling. Nobody needs to tell anybody that. You could take a rube off the street who has never gambled on anything in his life, some kind of choir boy who's 12 years old, and be like, hey, where's the best place to go gambling? Kid's going to fire out, Las Vegas, sir. For sure.
It's very true.
Right? Like, it's where you go. It's Sin City. You can't miss it. So you and I both have done trips to Vegas, but we've never done a poker exclusive trip. And I'm always mildly jealous when I talk to like Kent and Anna, Mila and Peter, and all those couples that play poker, which I think is super sweet. So shout out to any of them that listen to it. I doubt Mila and Peter listen to it, but maybe a Kent and Anna would listen to the podcast. Maybe. Yeah. So hopefully they do. But like, I love the fact that they go on trips with other poker couples and they play poker like the whole time. And I'm sure they go out and you drink and you go to dinner and stuff too. Like, it's great. But like, they're going for a poker trip exclusive.
Yeah. And I think it's a nice segue to get into like, planning a poker trip. This is more than just like, sure, when I fly to Las Vegas, like I play a whole lot of poker, but I'm doing a whole lot of other stuff too. I'm sports betting. I'm drinking, we're doing everything else, going to a show, taking in more, gambling on like the pits and everything like that.
Poker's not the focus.
I don't have anything planned out, where I think like taking the step of it actually being a poker trip, you have sat down, you have pulled up the tournament schedule at the closest 9 casinos around you,
right,
and said, all right, I got all these to choose from. What are we going to do today? What are we going to do tomorrow?
So I kind of think,
bust this, where are we going to go?
I think this is what you need in 3 things that you need for a poker trip successful poker trip. 1, you need good planning, right?
Yeah.
2, you need good bankroll management.
Yes,
Ken's
which
out.
Goes hand in hand with the planning. But
and
yes.
But I think more specifically because like that exactly right there, like, and then like backup plans where you're like, all right, I'm going to go to the Orleans at noon on Tuesday. I'm going to play in this tournament, and then if I bust, I can make it over to the Harris poker room, and the stupid refrigerator just turned on, and then you can go to this one and play the 4 o'clock. Blah 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 blah. So I think it's super fun to do that, and I always end up making it to every casino in my backup plan
because you busted.
Yeah, I can't help myself.
But see, I do have an example of this. I remember me and your sister, we played like an $1,100 PLO bounty the last time we were there. And I kind of busted out quick, and she made it deep. And like, wow, like I had no backup plan or like nothing to do. And, like you're you're not trapped there, but like, we're leaving together. So it's like, I'm there the whole time she's in the tournament, And I vividly remember losing like $6K betting sports, like waiting for her. And like that was bad bankroll management because
Correct.
I didn't have
rule number plan. 2.
And I had no backup plan, and I had no plan. Yeah, my plan was play a noon tournament. Well, when I'm out at 2 and she's in at 9 p.m.
Yeah, she cashed in that tournament, didn't she?
She didn't cash, but she got a couple bounties.
Oh, nice.
So
how much were the bounties in that thing? A couple hundred, or?
I think it was a 1,600 with $300 bounties.
That's pretty cool.
It was really sweet. It was at Venetian.
That's a super fun tournament.
But that was during the middle of the summer, during the WSOP. So that was you find all the good value stuff outside of the Rio.
Oh, for sure.
Other
I always feel like
casinos fighting for your business.
Part of like the poker trip is you've got like one shining star tournament that you want to play in. Whatever it is, like that specific Venetian $1,600, $1,100, $500. That's the one we're going for. And then on top of that, you got some preliminary matches. You got some post, when you screw up the big tournament that you came for, so you can play some different things. I think that's super fun. I also like to play, obviously cash games there are just phenomenal in general. What are your favorite casinos when you do go to Vegas? And then we'll get off of Vegas and go to some other spots. What's your number one room to go to?
number one poker room or
poker room. Like you're going to play. Like
I think the Wynn. Honestly,
really,
they sold me the last time I was there.
Huh? I've never played at the Wynn.
I think I've gone, to Vegas like 3 times, like in the last 5 years, and me and Allison have all stayed at the Aria every time.
I love the Aria.
And I like the Aria, and I like that. First of all, I like the restaurants in the Aria. I like the mood. It's kind of higher end. It's at a good spot on the strip where it's kind of in the middle, but kind of at the front end. And I like everything about it. The poker room's a little bit small, but I like that you can call down, get on the list, and then they'll call your room and say, hey, your seat's ready.
Oh, that's awesome.
So there's a lot of good stuff about the Aria. They offer 1-2 PLO and 5-5 with the Rock PLO. So there's nice, easy. You can move up and down stakes depending on, how your trip's going. Yeah. So the Aria has been like our go-to. We're going to play at the Aria. But then we kind of ventured off and went to the Wynn one day. And the Wynn has like 7 different restaurants you can order food from in the poker room.
Ooh.
Like they have a full, like you name it. They got Chinese, they got Italian, they got American food, they got burgers. Like you name it, you can get whatever food. The PLO game is 1,000 max instead of 500.
That's nice.
And the room was massive and spacious, and the walkways were nice and like open, where kind of when the Aria gets full, it's kind of full. I mean, I would consider the Aria more like a Warrenville CCG event, whereas like the Wynn would be like the max, gym at the max, where, everything's just more open and there's more room. And so I'm going to go with the Wynn after all that.
Wow. I've always been a fan of Caesar's Palace Poker Room. Now, that's kind of twofold. My wife and I always typically stay at Caesar's. We stay in that like boutique-y part of the hotel. It's called Nobu. So yeah. It's super bougie. I'm not quite sure what bougie means, but it's pretty bougie. And so I'm always at Caesar's. But I don't think they let you do the call down thing, because I normally just hang around and pull the full degen. I was like, I'll play anything. Put me in any game. I just want to play whatever right now. It is. Just give me a seat. I don't care what it is. Just 3 guys in the corner shooting dice. I'm in.
All right. You need a 4th? Okay, cool.
4th, I'm in. You guys want to play Uno? Gin? Spades?
So
cricket?
Last summer, 2020, we were scheduled to go, not summer, but we were going to go for March Madness. I actually booked Caesars because I had free rooms with the Diamond card. And I was going to try out Caesars, especially since you always went there.
I love Caesars. Canceled. I think it's a great casino. It's right in the middle of the strip. Like you could walk to Venetian, you could walk to Bellagio. I mean, it's right next door to Bellagio. I mean, there's just everything's right there. Cosmopolitan's really cool too. I like that hotel. I don't know if they have a poker room, to be honest. I know there was like in Vegas there was like a poker room boom where like more places were opening poker rooms, and then that was like right at the end of beginning part of 2020, and then burp, 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 going from there, I think a lot of these rooms are not going to reopen.
Yeah, like I know that Vinny, a former CCG dealer, he used to work at Harris. I don't know if their room ever reopened.
Yeah, their room is kind of like up at the front of the casino, and it's like one of those like half walls. You're just kind of behind. It's very small. It's probably only 2 tables deep and like 8 or 10 tables wide. So it's like in this very and it's right on the casino floor, so it's very loud. It's not an ideal place. At least like Caesar's Palace, the old one used to be way in the back. It used to be a nightclub, or now it's a nightclub. Like it was dope. It was like its own room. You were like off on your own, which I guess it's kind of hit or miss. Some people, when they go on a trip and play at different rooms, they like the idea of like Venetian, where you're like right kind of in the action and you can kind of see the other things and games going on, see the lights and flashes of slot machines and stuff. But
Venetian's room is so big, it's like it's spacious,
right?
And there's just so
you kind of get the
room
best of both worlds. It feels big and open, but yet you also feel like you're part of the casino, which I think is cool.
But you're kind of by yourself. It's great.
Again, that's why I said it was a perfect combination of the two things, Brandon. Do I need to? Oh, sorry.
What?
That was me yelling at you. Like I just said that. Thanks, redundant Danny.
Anyways.
All right, so Vegas obviously is a great spot. What poker app do you use, or do you just like legit go to each like Twitter feed or website, call some poker rooms? Like, how do you know what tournaments are going when?
I usually look them up like on the internet when I'm like actually planning out, like, if I'm going to go during the series.
Right.
Otherwise, if I'm there in March or something and I know there's like not too much going on, I'll just use the Bravo app and they give you a pretty good amount of information in that upper, the information tab before you scroll down.
They do. Poker Atlas is also really good.
Yeah, those are both good. I mean, Poker Atlas really stepped their game up because I think Bravo really had it.
I remember looking at Poker Atlas in like 2008 thinking this is kind of not great. But fast forward to 2021.
They've stepped up their game.
They've got everything. They've got structures. They've got times. Like, they are legit. And it's like everywhere you can find games and stuff. I mean, obviously CCG is listed on there as well, so that's pretty great. It's nice to have that kind of area and know exactly what's going to happen. And again, for me, it's that idea of planning out that trip. Like, okay, I'm going to play this tournament at noon. I'm going to play this tournament at 4. I'm going to play this tournament at 6 when I bust out. You know when late registration is for each of them. So Poker Atlas is huge. Bravo is always great. And then you can always check out some social medias and stuff for some different things to find out what games are going when. Because Poker Room's notorious for not having super updated information on their websites. It's one of the 100%. Things I try to make sure CCG and Paramount does not do, is I want to make sure that they're like up to date. So when a guy calls, he's like, oh, I'm here for the Wednesday night, bingo tournament. And they're like, oh yeah, we haven't done that in like 7 months. It's like, why is it on the website? Right, it's like,
cool.
Still?
I live in Indiana. How would I know that?
Right. I just drove all the way over here. All right. So obviously, besides Las Vegas, what are else? I mean, Texas is obviously becoming a huge poker town. Like, just everybody wants to come to Texas. It's like the new place to go.
Texas is the new Florida.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that.
And Florida was kind of the new Vegas. Or New California. It kind of went like Vegas, and Vegas kind of dried up, and California got huge.
Yep.
And California is still obviously always going to be huge, but
right.
Florida was next, and then after Florida, I feel like Texas has now made its stand in the poker world. It's going to be there to stay for
as
a while,
a destination for all poker players to go to, right? I mean, obviously, it's like Vegas. You got California and all the rooms there. You've got Florida and all of the rooms there, because a lot of people will go to trips for just those different places. And now you've got Texas is another spot that you can easily go to and find so many different rooms. I feel like
Texas is a great place to go if you're just like, it's kind of like Vegas in the sense of, I have a million different options here. Let me see what's best.
Correct. You can really Florida, pick and choose. Florida, you're kind of stuck. Normally, if you're staying at like one spot. Yeah.
And the same thing, when I'm thinking of poker trips, I think of everybody likes to go to the North Carolina Horseshoe or the Harris. It's a big WSOP spot. I'm trying to think. It's in North Carolina.
I don't know that one.
Help me out here. You don't know anything?
No, I got nothing.
There's that, and then St. Louis is always a good one. But again, that's
but I mean, that's more for like poker tours. So you're going for a specific tour, like an HBT or an MSPT or a WPT or the WSOP.
You're going for the stop on the tour, yeah.
Correct. Whereas which also
Houston's different.
No, Houston doesn't have any kind of like big poker tours yet. I'm sure they're going to have a few. They actually did have two, like some Lone Star Poker, I think it's called. They did some events down here, 2 of them so far, and they were massive. Prime just did a $1,100 buy-in no limit tournament.
Yeah,
over $180
a
milli.
Yeah, $180K to first.
Does that seem normal on a $1 million prize pool? I thought it was a bit light, but maybe I'm just thinking it's too much. Like 18%, 19%.
Yeah, because you got to remember how many people are in.
Yeah, I mean they really thin it out towards the bottom. But still, awesome tournament. As far as like stops on the poker tours, like some spots are really good and other spots are not so much. You were kind of alluding to that fact. St. Louis, always a big stop. Hammond, always a big stop.
Harris, Cherokee.
That's the one in Oklahoma?
No, Cherokee's in North Carolina.
Oh, there you go. That's the one you were thinking of.
Choctaw.
That's Oklahoma, right?
Yes, I think Choctaws, I think it's either like one of the first or the last stops of the year. Not quite sure because I'm not really in the circuit game. Other people might know better. But I feel like that's always a really big one. And I know that there's a lot of people from CCG that have made that trip.
And gone because you can drive it and kind of go from there.
Yep.
And then, it's not really ideal. It's not like you could drive from Chicago to Texas to do a poker trip. Like,
no,
it would be
a
rough.
little bit.
It's like 18 hours.
I think if you're in Chicago, you're going to Michigan, or you're going to like Battle Creek, or Detroit, or you're going to Ohio because they have the Toledo series there. or you're going to St. Louis. I think that's kind of like the easy peasy.
It's that like 6-hour trip, right? Like 6 hours in the car, you could pretty much do whenever. Like you could work all day and then drive 6 hours. It's not ideal. We don't recommend it. Certainly you should take a nap beforehand, but it's doable. I mean, we're not talking about 12, 13, 14, 15-hour trip here. Like that's an entire day and a half of traveling, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a long ass day. But
yeah, you're not just like, I'm going to drive to Texas.
Yeah.
Nope. Well, no, you're not.
No, you're not. I mean, you can, but nobody wants to. What are some of the East Coast poker locations? I was thinking like Foxwoods.
But I think that's Atlantic City, right?
I don't know. I thought it was Connecticut.
I know that Atlantic City,
Foxwood
besides Borgata,
is like a huge poker place for obviously East Coast peeps. Like lots of things happen there. They do tons of tournaments. I'm looking at their website right now. So current tables. Foxwoods is in. You'd figure they'd tell you right where it is. I guess they figure if you know where you are, you don't need the location. But I don't know where they are.
Yeah, Mashkatucket, Connecticut.
All right. Thank you for making. Oh man, don't move. It did just say that they are the number one poker location outside of Vegas. Now, I don't know if that's one of those like
that's
random things that they just say, but it's pretty cool. Poker.
I always thought of Foxwoods as being like not old school, but like washed up into new school poker. Like I feel like I remember Foxwoods was like being irrelevant when like Jamie Gold and when that poker boom and full tilt poker and all those guys. People just don't
think of Foxwoods as like an up and coming. Like it's an old staple, right? Like it's like one of those things. And I mean, look at this. They've got 1, 2. Holy cow! Never mind. Table 11922. Would you assume that means they have 9? They got 9 1-2 no limit games going. They've got 2 2-5 games going. And then we get into some fun stuff. They've got They got 2 tables of 4-8 limit. 1 table of PLO 2-5, which sounds great. And then obviously here comes the old school guys, 20-40 stud. 1 table of 20-40 stud. That's gross.
Wow. So they still are getting 20-40 stud.
That's awesome. I would love to play 20-40 stud. I am not good enough, but it seems pretty dope.
So when I think of East Coast, I mean, a 20-40 stud, I would be a big loser. They would like me at the table. That is for sure. I would be peeling off cards. 20, 40, 40 more. Yeah, now I fold.
But like, what about like Atlantic City? Like what poker?
That's Borgata. Borgata,
that's right.
For sure, big, huge.
Now,
they run the Borgata Poker Open.
Is Trump's Taj Mahal still there, or that's gone?
That's gone.
Yeah.
Borgata, if I was going to go out east, I think Maryland Poker Live.
Oh, I forgot about Maryland Poker Live.
Maryland Poker Live and Borgata would be my place to go. I would like to see. Can you look up what Borgata's got going right now?
Yeah.
Because I took the Bravo app off my phone since.
I'm just going to go to their website and let's see how good it is, because this is what you have to do as a poker player.
I'm on their website.
Oh, what's on the website?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out. Oh, casino, poker, results. Like, I don't want results.
Poker rules. Gosh, this is not easy. Poker, promotions, results, and highlights. They got nothing. Come on, Borgata. What are you guys doing?
So they had the Winter Poker Open. They got they got nothing. Oh, so here they got the Deep Stack Challenge, February 19th through the 28th. That just happened. 230,000 in guaranteed over 10 events.
Pretty gross.
But again, I want to know how many tables they have.
Like how big of a room it is?
Yes. Like that's what I want to know.
That I don't know. I don't see that on there.
You'd think that would be an overview, but
you'd think so.
But hey, this is why they should hire us.
Correct.
To do their website.
Clearly.
Because this website sucks. Anyways, I want to say they have like 36, maybe 42, maybe even pushing 50 tables in their room. So it's a big old room. And I know that they do high limit. They do like $5,300 buy-ins. I think their main event's a $10K for their Borgata Poker Open. So that if you want some higher end kind of Vegas-esque type tournaments and big prize pools, that's going to be there at Borgata. So I would go to Borgata, but that's just me. I know Atlantic City.
If you wanted to go that direction, right? Like that's the whole idea of, which direction you want to go.
Yeah, or if I was, traveling the East Coast for something completely different, but I had to pick a casino to go to, it'd be Borgata.
Yeah, for sure.
They're M Life too, so that's cool. But so besides that, I mean, there's that new Boston casino they just opened. They opened up like a Boston horseshoe.
Yeah, that's the Wynn. Oh,
it's a Wynn. It's a Wynn.
Yeah, it's a Wynn. Yeah. Because remember all that stuff happened with Mr. Wynn, and then they were gone.
That's about it for the East Coast. The East Coast, really?
Yeah, there's not a ton going on there. I'm trying to see where else I can find, search Poker Atlas.
Pennsylvania, they got online poker, though, so that's good.
Yeah, that's true. Michigan's got online. I know Mr. Andrew Nemi, I noticed on Twitter, went back to Detroit to play in, the first, WSOP stuff on, for Michigan when they launched, which is pretty cool.
That is cool. So now they just got to get these player pools combined, and we're in business.
Yeah, I think that's kind of inevitably what's going to happen. And we've already done episodes on, kind of online poker and what we think happens during there, the difference between live and online and kind of the benefits and disadvantages of both. But I think a huge disadvantage right now for online poker in the United States is that they are not combined player pools. It just makes more sense.
Yep, I 100% agree. I mean, yeah, it's one of those things. If we're all allowed to play in our respective states against one another, why can't we combine? I mean, not the prize pool, just the player pool of having the Vegas people be able to play with the Pennsylvania people that can play with the Michigan people. That we're all not just, closed off with fences around us.
It kind of stinks that you have to travel to Michigan to play in the Michigan games. It's a hard draw to do it. I mean, it's it's nice to get that bigger pool. There's more money involved, and then obviously it draws more players in inevitably, which is great.
Plus, another thing, when the WSOP does their series, and it was only available to people in Las Vegas. Imagine if it was available to Vegas, Michigan, Pennsylvania. Well, now all of a sudden people in Illinois and Indiana will drive to Michigan to play in it.
Right.
And people from, New York and Connecticut and all those places will drive to Pennsylvania to play. But we ain't going to Vegas.
No.
By the way, I found out there's 22 games going on at Borgata, 12-1-3, 5-2-5s, 4-3-6 limit, and 1-5-10.
It is a nice thing about Vegas, and I will say that typically anywhere else you go, I mean, it's mostly no limit. It's hard to get mixed games or other games. It's so nice in Vegas because you got a huge variety. If you're a fan, like Brandon and I are, of no limit games, meaning I'll play no limit, and it's fine and it's fun, but I mean, we want to play 4-card games, 5-card games. I mean, the PLOs, the big O's, even pineapple and goofy stuff like that, short deck. You're never getting a short deck game really anywhere outside of Las Vegas. And even there, it's on a few, specialty kind of rooms that have and
it's high. Yeah, it's usually high stakes.
Yeah, which is crazy.
But still, you have the option.
All right.
The Orleans in the Vegas, they specialize.
Yeah.
They barely even get no limit off.
Yep. They want to do stud and limit games, and it's super fun.
Yep. And combination games, they want Orse and
the dealer
ROE
choice games.
Yeah.
We did a whole thing on those games as well. I can't find it, but it's on episode somewhere. Mixed games.
Make them look through all 41 episodes. I promise you guys, it's in
episode 16. It's actually kind of a popular one. Mixing it up with mixed games. Wicca.
Yeah, I wish I was better at mixed games.
I do too, because I feel like that's the evolution of poker. Is that if it's kind of I hate to say it, but it's like Daniel Negreanu. He's such an accomplished poker player. Not to mention all the money he wins playing poker, but it's also the fact that he plays so many different games and he plays them all really well.
I do.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's one thing to be a pro at Hold'em, but it's another thing to be a pro at Hold'em and then 9 other games.
I mean, it's nuts. I mean, it's
he's the best. When they played 22 game dealer's choice or whatever it is at the
he's the
WSOP,
number one seed.
He's probably the best player at the table in 19 or 20 of those 22 games.
Yeah. Now let's wrap it up with the Ken and Brandon perfect poker trip, because we've never really done a poker trip, and we had one planned for 2020, but obviously that got blown out of the water, and we're going to attempt to do it this year.
Yeah.
We want to do a WSOP. Neither one of us have ever played the main event. Correct?
Correct.
and I would very much like to do it. I think it's one thing that all poker players should attempt to do one time in their life. It's like that one, and I know it's a crazy amount of money to think about playing the main event at $10,000 buy-in. Like, that's nuts, but yet it's still super cool. Like, I would love to try to do that just one time.
And also, you could really, especially, most of these people are people that either play in Texas or play at CCG. If you walked into a notebook at CCG and said, hey, well, you want to buy 1% of my WSOP action? I guarantee you, as long as you're not the worst player in the room, 7 to 15 to 20 people are like, sure, I'll take $100 sweat.
Yeah, that was always fun when we were at like the Max, and I remember people coming in and being like,
yeah, like George, remember George?
Yeah. And it was just like, hey, I'm selling some shares. And it's like, obviously you have to trust a guy, but it's pretty cool now with like the internet. Like, you can find out exactly what people cash and what they do. And I mean, it's $100, so it's not like you're going to do anything crazy, but it's super fun. Like, it's just it's an easy sweat for $100, and it's a great way for a guy to sell some action and try to kind of cover some cost of the trip so that you're not all in on this on your own, which would be great.
Sell 60% of it. Who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, it's what the guys do in the 100Ks. You think they're putting up 100K? No, they put up 40K, and they sold the other 60K off.
Which is great.
Yeah, it's great because then they get to play 100Ks. But we just got to scale that down, and we got to,
do it for the 10Ks.
Do it for the 10Ks, exactly.
I mean, I even know people who do it for the 1600s, but
yeah,
that is what it is. Well, I love it.
So honestly, I really would like to maybe do like a Texas and a Texas Vegas, maybe not trip in one, but like
2 separate trips. For sure, because there are so many games.
Drive to Vegas or something.
There's so many games to play. I mean, obviously, there's a tons of games in Vegas, but there's also so many games in Texas you can play, and you can get it for any dollar amount that you want to play. And there's a ton of options.
And it's like, oh, I don't like this place. Cool. Never come back and go try one of the other 40 places that you can play.
The variety is what really gets you, because that's kind of the negative part when you do like a Florida or an East Coast. You're kind of stuck to the Borgata. If you don't like the games, you don't like the floor manager or whatever, you just don't like the vibe in the room, you really have no other choices to go to. And if you do, they're much lesser choices. Whereas when you're in Vegas, there's tons of rooms you can go to. Texas, tons of rooms that you can go to. And if you're in Texas and you're like, man, I don't like Houston, I'm going to drive to Austin and play all the games over there. Like, there's also several places, towns that you can go check out, which I think would be super fun. I mean, a lot of people I know now, when we talk about at CCG, talking about doing like a Texas trip and doing a road trip, which is part of the reason why I wanted to talk about this, because I think it's so much fun, and it's something that all poker players should do one time. Just take a little bankroll, save up some money, maybe bank a tournament and, win $1,500, be like, all right, cool, I'm going to take this $1,500 and go parlay it into something else and play in a different location where nobody knows me. Nobody knows that you're like a rock or you're the nit or whatever. Like, you can be whoever you want to be, which I think is the most important and the most fun of taking a poker trip, is that you kind of mix it up a little bit, Yeah,
it is. It is so nice to be able to walk into a room and you don't know anybody and nobody knows you. It's just amazing. Like, every time I walk into the Horseshoe, everybody knows exactly who I am.
Yeah, if you're a regular at a place, then you're a regular, right? Like, I like going to Vegas and other places in Texas because I can go full-blown D-Gen Kenny, like, jerk mode. It's awesome.
Yes.
I'm like, I'm needling people. I'm having a good time. Like, I don't do that when I'm at home because, like, I don't want people to think that that's the association with, like, CCG or something along those lines. Like, I don't want people to be like, oh, that guy's such a jerk, I'm never coming back here.
Correct.
Whereas, like,
there's consequences for those actions.
Right. When I'm anonymous in Vegas, like, I do my favorite thing to do in Vegas is whenever I have a flush draw on the flop, I always check. And then the guy bets 100, and then I go, I see your 100, and I raise you 100. And the dealer goes, sir, you can't do that. I'm like, but I do it all the time in my home game. What do you mean I can't say it? It's what they say on TV. I call and I raise. No, sir, once you say call, you can only call. Fine. And then the turn comes, and it's a brick, and then the guy checks in front of me, and I check right behind him, because he thinks I wanted to raise in the flop, but I didn't. So it's like my little mini angle shoot to get 2 free cards on my flush draw. So I would never do that.
Do you flop a flush draw and be like, oh, this is my spot?
This is my spot. This is the spot to do the, I see your $100 and raise you $1 million. Oh, wait, no, I can't do that. All right, cool.
Cool.
You can't do like the cool stuff from like Maverick when you're like, I have 2 pair 8s and 8s. or my other favorite line is I get jacks. Well, jacks and twos. You made for the twos, right? You're a player, Maurice. You knew I had 2 pair there, right? I mean, like, you can't do that at your regular game.
Yeah,
because then you just get beat up and nobody wants to play with you. But you're never going to see these people again when you're on a poker trip. So you can be a little bit of a jerk and have fun. I don't know why I want to be a jerk at other places, but, part of
probably because you don't get to be a jerk.
I don't get to do it, right? Like, it's so much fun to be anonymous and not have to worry about, like, seeing these people the next week when you come back to playing your regular Thursday night tournament. Like, you can do some different stuff, and it's super fun.
Yeah.
So it's great. Well, that's going to about wrap it up for episode 42. The Great American Poker Trip is what we're calling it. And I think we hit all of the great places. I guess we didn't talk about Talking Stick in Arizona. That's kind of a big poker spot. But again, I don't know. It's like,
I don't think people are traveling.
I think it's like,
I think it's more like they're going to Arizona.
Correct.
And then they're going to
I'll take one night and go play poker, which is great. Not like Ken when I go with my wife to Vegas and I have to sneak out at like 1 o'clock in the morning to go play a late night shift at Caesar's Palace, which is why I always play there because it's just downstairs. And then I play at 5 o'clock in the morning, come home, and then, sleep for 2 hours and then go to breakfast with my wife. But lo and behold, she doesn't know what I was doing down there. Mostly just pumping off my money playing 2-5 or PLO, but it's fun. It's a good time. Well, thank you for listening to episode 42. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are close to 7,000 downloads, which is still amazing to me. It's so wild to think that so many people do it. Even in Texas, I was there yesterday at Paramount, and like 2 people came up to me like, oh, man, we love the podcast. When's the next episode going to come out? And you should do this or you should do that. So it's super fun. We really appreciate it. I don't know if Brandon's been recognized in public yet. Maybe you have. Maybe you haven't, Brandon.
I always get recognized. I just don't flaunt it.
Ah, nice. I do like to let people know that I am moderately famous in my own mind. But yeah, thanks for listening. Catch us next time on the episode. What are we doing? 43. What do we see? We were going to talk about? Not online poker. We had an idea. Now we totally forgot.
No, it was distractions.
Oh yeah, poker distractions. Obviously, because I'm like the most scatterbrained person in the world.
Which rounds us all the way back to TikTok, baby.
TikTok episode. That's what we're doing, because that is like my number one distraction at the poker table is TikTok and Twitter. Any social media that starts with a T, Ken is in trouble with a capital T, as in Twitter or TikTok. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, farewell.
Bye.
We'll end on that.